You're not going to believe this, but a ghost is coming back to the American energy grid. A nuclear reactor at 3 Mile Island, yeah, that 3 Mile Island, the site of the most infamous nuclear accident in U.S. history, is being brought back to life. So what on earth is going on? Let's get into it.
Look, I want to be crystal clear about this. This isn't just flipping a switch back on. This has literally never been done before. No commercial nuclear reactor in the United States, once it has been retired and started the decommissioning process, has ever been successfully restarted. We are in completely uncharted territory here.
So to really wrap your head around the stakes, we have to go back. We have to revisit the history of this place and the shadow it casts.
Okay, quick recap. Back in 1979, the Unit 2 reactor had a partial meltdown. It was an event that basically burned itself into the American psyche. But its sister reactor, Unit 1, kept on running, safely I should add, for another 34 years. Then, in 2019, cheap natural gas just made it too expensive to operate, so it was shut down for good. Or, so everyone thought. Now, out of nowhere, there's a multi-billion-dollar plan to fire it back up.
So you're probably asking, how is this even possible? Well, it's a team effort. A powerhouse trio, really. First, you've got Constellation Energy, the owner. They're ponying up the cash. Then you have Microsoft, who needs massive amounts of clean power for its data centers, and they've signed a 20-year deal to buy the electricity. And the final piece? The U.S. government is stepping in with a $1 billion loan guarantee to make the whole thing financially possible.
But just because the money works on paper doesn't mean this is going to be easy. And that brings us to the core of the problem. The sheer scale of this financial and engineering gamble.
Let's just start with the price tag, because it's a big one. We are talking about a total cost of roughly $2 billion. $2 billion to resurrect a 50-year-old power plant. That is a mind-boggling amount of money to bet on aging infrastructure. And this is so much more than just flipping a switch. I mean, it's basically like trying to rebuild a power plant inside its own skeleton. Engineers have to retrofit a reactor that was designed when Nixon was president. They got to somehow mesh modern digital safety systems with its old-school analog nervous system, replace huge components, and get this, they even have to reverse steps that were already taken to tear it down, like literally chipping concrete out of fuel tanks.
Which, brings us to the really blunt question that a lot of people are asking. With all this complexity, all these unknowns, and a system that's decades old, is this whole project just asking for a disaster?
So, okay, the engineering is one massive headache. But there's another variable here that's maybe even more fragile, and that is public opinion. The thing you have to understand about the nuclear industry is that it plays by different rules. Unlike any other energy source, it has zero room for error in the public eye. One tiny mistake can set the entire industry back for a generation. There are just no second chances. Think of it this way. A minor steam leak at some random power plant might make the local news. But even a tiny, insignificant hiccup at a plant named 3 Mile Island, that's an international headline, instantly. The name itself is a massive amplifier for fear and scrutiny. And because of that name, because of that history, this project is now way more than just an engineering problem. It has become a high-stakes, high-wire credibility test for the entire American nuclear industry.
And the stakes here are, well, they're existential. If this works, it sends a powerful message that the U.S. can safely modernize its aging nuclear fleet. But if it fails, or even just stumbles in the public eye, it could confirm everyone's worst fears about nuclear power and kill the industry's comeback story overnight.
When you zoom out, you start to see that this one single project in Pennsylvania, it really represents a fundamental choice, a fork in the road for the whole country's energy strategy. I mean, the decision to bring back 3 Mile Island isn't just about megawatts and keeping the lights on. It's a huge statement about what kind of energy future America's choosing. Are we the country that patches up the past, or are we the country that builds something totally new? And this really highlights a huge strategic divide. You have the U.S. approach, refurbish the relics. You get to use existing sites, which is a plus, but you're betting on old, risky technology. Then you look at China, which is just building a massive fleet of brand new, modern reactors, taking advantage of all the latest safety tech and economies of scale. Two totally different playbooks. And the economics, wow, the economics here are just wild. Get this. China can build a brand new, more powerful reactor for about $2 to $3 billion. Restarting the older, smaller reactor at 3 Mile Island is going to cost about $2.5 billion. Meanwhile, if you wanted to build a new reactor from scratch in the U.S., you're looking at $6 to $9 billion. The numbers are just staggering. So all of this forces us to ask a pretty tough question about the American strategy. Is spending billions to revive a 50-year-old plant a smart, pragmatic act of leadership? Or is it just nostalgia for an industry we can't really afford to build anymore, dressed up to look like a practical solution?
At the end of the day, whether this whole thing works or fails spectacularly, it's going to send a powerful signal all around the world about American energy, American ingenuity, and our future. And you can bet that the world will be watching.
So, we're left with this one final critical question. Is the return of 3 Mile Island going to be a symbol of American resilience? A sign that we can tame the complex technologies of our past? Or is it a $2 billion gamble that's really just a disaster waiting to happen? The answer, whatever it is going to define the next chapter of nuclear power in America.